It's another Manly Monday, and today we're talking about something. I don't know how this is going to go. The response to the, excuse me, education one I did on Friday seemed to go pretty well. So I'm building on that because I've tried to talk about this in the past with, we'll say, mixed results. Some people react very badly to this idea. Now, that doesn't mean it's not true. It just means the indoctrination is strong in some corners. And anyway, let me do the help support this channel stuff, and then we'll get into the unique, the specific to men, with some exceptions, form of self-invalidating that goes on. So if you like this sort of content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it so people can work some of this stuff out, coffee.com/LeannaK. We are in the process right now with the It's Not Therapy stuff of starting workshops. And the two series we're focusing on first is one on trauma and then one on communication skills. And the communication skills is when we're going to start workshopping and developing this week. So look for news on that in the near future. So yeah, self-invalidating. This is one of those things I had to realize I was doing. So I'm not saying anything like I'm sitting some Lord of the Manor talking down to the common folk and I don't get it. It's something I had to realize. And it's a bumpy road when you first stop self-invalidating. Because obviously if you're coming at life from a place where you're not treating yourself like you're valid, you're probably surrounded by people who also don't treat you like you're valid. And those people are not going to like the changes you make because it makes you less controllable. But it's really, really important that you learn to validate yourself, your own, needs and wants, and be able to tell the difference between them. Because messing up wants and needs is a bullet train to misery. Because needs, are non-negotiable. Wants are things that working towards helps you develop self-esteem and a sense of self-concept. And, the difference between them is, the best way I can describe it is, one is the things you need to get started, right? Everybody needs food, shelter, water, that kind of stuff, common sense, right? But people also need a sense that they matter as a person in some way before they can work towards those goals. And it's a weird thing because to a certain point in life, we get our sense of who we are and our worth from other people. That's childhood and adolescence. And in adolescence, people start pulling away from, the authority figures in their lives, figuring out who they are. It's a process called individuation. Now, there's no guarantee individuation gets completed. In healthy adults, it is. They know where they begin and other people end. And vice versa, where other people end and they begin. That was the same thing, said two different ways. Forgive me, I'm a bit brain foggy. But now, I mean, there's a thing I had to learn to live with, right? Because of long COVID and an autoimmune disease, brain fog is a real challenge for me. And that means I have to watch certain things and be aware of, the points where I'm not at my best, especially when weather, and there has been all the weather of late. My sympathies to migraine sufferers. I have a few friends that have it way worse than me, so I'll take a little bit of brain fog because they're dying, 6 days in a row right now. And that's some self-validation there of what I'm experiencing is real and it matters, and I can't just, stop being lazy and toughen up and get through it, because that was a mistake I used to make all the time, because I was raised in a profoundly invalidating environment, and it took a lot to learn that sometimes to go faster, you need to slow down. You need, it's funny because I'm playing Elden Ring right now, and it's like that stamina gauge, right? Everything you do, holding your shield, swinging your weapons, takes stamina. And if you run out of stamina, you can't do moves, you can't block, you can't do anything like that. Good metaphor for life, right? Because there's different gauges. You've got your hit points, which is actual damage, right? The things people take out of you. Then you've got what they call FP. I guess it's focus points. But that's your magic, essentially summoning and spells and stuff like that. And then you've got the stamina gauge. And the stamina gauge depletes fastest. Well, for me, other than when I summon my wolf buddies. Yay. Wolves, Ash's wolves. And the jellyfish. Jellyfish are creepy, but I love my jellyfish, Ash. Anyway. Navigating life and managing energy is a lot like that. And it's funny how many gamers don't think about that. That you need to conserve resources in order to get anything done. But I see so many people walking around wounded and broken and crying out in pain and making a lot of mistakes because they're playing the wrong kind of game. I talk about life being a roguelike. There's elements of roguelike to Elden Ring, right? And people don't play it that way. People play it as like a shooter with unlimited lives or this big tank, and that's not people, right? And because people have this concept that they should be this hulking brute in power armor that can take, 50 shots to the face before they start really feeling it, they walk around unfulfilled, unhappy, and they push people away because the individuation never happened. They continue to look to others for that sense of self-concept instead of that being built up. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means you know what you're good at and what you're not good at and what you want and what you don't want. And you believe that those things are valid. And one of the big things I found with, self-concept is I had to learn I don't have to do everything myself. I can work with other people that have skills that I'm not the best at. And that's the best use of time, and everybody gets something out of it. And yes, there are people I can trust. And when you have a constructed self-concept, a built-up self-concept, it's much easier to determine whether somebody is your people or not. And you can go, there's nothing wrong with this person per se, but they're not my people. We just don't click or gel in that way. And that's okay. It's just probably not the best idea to work together. The priorities are just not in sync. And that's not a moral thing. I mean, one of the most invalidating things I think exists nowadays, and it's well-meaning, but I just think it's wrong, is this binary. It's best known in anti-racism theory, but it's all over the place with anything involving morality, that you're either something, you're against something. There's no middle ground, neutral, or non-polarized position. And that's just not true. Um, if you go all the way back to Stoic philosophy, which I talk about a lot, they talk about moral, immoral, and amoral decision making. And I really believe that that space for stuff that isn't wrong, it isn't immoral, it may bug you, but it's not wrong per se. It's very, very important to make space for that, because otherwise you just become too rigid, and to be completely blunt, people get too hard to take when everything is either right or wrong, moral or immoral. It's too much, right? The vast majority of things are not conscious moral choices. And the fact that we've made everything into a binary that way has led to, for me, a lot of unnecessary conflict. And I brought up the anti-racism thing. But obviously, this is where I try to find an example on the right. And unfortunately, populist right-wing messaging now is so cynical that every example that comes to mind, I think, yeah, if they were coming at this with a straight face and in good faith, this would be a good example. But they're not serious. I mean, the example of that is, do what we say or you're a groomer of children, right? It's so cynical and it's so bullshit, and it's just an attempt to coerce people into backing things they don't necessarily believe. And all that's going to do is breed resentment. Both political poles are just breeding resentment right now. And what's been happening is, because of that, it's just like cult dynamics. It's all about who gets to someone first and who can make the case that the other side is the reason for all of their misery. Now, that's really appealing to somebody who doesn't self-validate, who feels crappy all the time. And it's just, oh yeah, I can blame the feminists or, the religious right or the manosphere or this, that, and the next thing, trans activists, right? Gender ideology. But the truth is, well, those things can be irritating. That's not who's making you unhappy. It's people that are making you unhappy, right? A shitty boss, for instance, that uses one of those things as a wedge to be shitty. That's what's making you unhappy, not an idea or a series of ideas. And that's really, really important to keep in mind. And I do, more and more, I think, do I really need to lunge at someone over this? And often the mistake a lot of people make is they think these people who are out there beating the drum with very pedantic political views are coming at it from a place of stability and control, and they're not. That's not what I see with a lot of these people. Some of them, they want attention because that's clicks, and clicks are money, right? There is, again, a cynical wing, but other people, they're just crying out in anguish and projecting that onto other people, some of whom are just minding their own damn business. And it's not right. When you look at it for 5 seconds, it doesn't really make any sense. And I mean, the point I started, separating from conventional feminism was when I realized, first of all, I got out into, well, no, what happened first was I was still in university and learning all this theory. And I realized this is just a bunch of reasons why it is impossible for me to be successful and have a good life in this world. And all of this may be true. Maybe. I don't know. But I know I will fail if I follow this playbook because it's all the reasons I'm going to fail, right? I need to start applying things to see how I can actually carve out a little bit of space or forge a path for myself. And it's very different to go into something going, all right, we need to understand the norms. We need to understand the history. We need to know where this stuff comes from to successfully navigate it and fucking Handmaid's Tale shit, right? They're not the same mindset at all. And I see the same thing happening with the manosphere's impact on men. And that's why, it's the manosphere black pill, but then I call it black pill feminism, because it's just giving people a whole laundry list of reasons to give up. But when you do that, or when you're going down that road, what that is at the end of the day is telling yourself that the world thinks you're worthless. The world doesn't care about you. The world is out to get you. And over time, what that does is it convinces you that you actually are worthless. And I don't care what anybody says, it may temporarily make you feel better to think it's not my fault, my life is shit. But if your life continues to be shit, that gets to you and it makes you think, if you don't already believe this on some level, that you deserve it. And what happens when you feel like you deserve the shit is you blow up at the wrong people, you alienate the wrong people, you don't recognize healthy boundaries and when people are actually trying to support you and help you even when you've made a mistake, according to them. Everything's topsy-turvy and backwards, and so you don't get the benefits of the support you're actually getting because everything just feels awful. And that's where self-validation comes from. There's a big difference between going, this didn't go my way, and it doesn't feel fair. But tomorrow's another day, and I'm going to figure out if there's another way I can do this and get what I want. And, I can't, it's never going to work. This didn't go my way because men are disposable and nobody cares about men and the system is against men and society and this, that, the next thing. The problem with things like culture and cultural constructs and society and systems and all that stuff is that there's the macro and the micro. And in terms of your ability to get reasonable shit done, it's your immediate circle of people that has the most impact on you, both in terms of, active supports and mindset. If you've got people around you reinforcing that everything is shit and the world is conspiring against you, you're not going to get as much done as if you're surrounded by people who are telling you this actually is possible. But again, if you're not self-validating, if there isn't a tiny little bit in you that thinks, yeah, it really is possible and I'm worth it, I'm worth other people doing things for, then, and I was here once, so I speak from experience, you're going to reject people telling you that you can do it. It's going to feel like criticism because you feel like people are just lying to you and setting you up to fail and mocking you behind your back. Now, in some cases that's true, but those people shouldn't be around you. And the problem when you self-invalidate this way, and the reason I say this uniquely affects men in this particular way is because of this theory of the disposable male. And, in an era of conscription where men are being sent out as infantry cannon fodder on the front lines of a war, yeah, that's absolutely true. But in peacetime, in your day-to-day life, the people around you, you deserve to not feel disposable to those people, and it is possible. You should be able to think of 3 or 4 people in your life who actively give a shit about you. And if you don't, something's really wrong and you deserve better. And yes, you may have an asshole boss. A lot of us do. But I know I stayed in really bad treatment because I thought I had to, you know. The things I used to validate me were things like professional success and, I have to eat shit because I have to be in these places so that I can get these quote unquote opportunities. And the reason I say quote unquote opportunities is I'm like, I'm just jumping from exploitative environment to exploitative environment and never getting credit for it because that's the Canadian entertainment system. There's a reason so many Canadian performers go down to the States, even though the cost of living is 4 to 5 times higher because of the number of things that Americans have to pay for that Canadians don't, like healthcare, for instance, right? And security and such and such. But healthcare is a big one. It just jacks up the cost of living like crazy. And so I changed my priorities. It's like, do I want the status or do I want to be able to do stuff like this and make my own projects and communicate and connect with people? And I'm like, well, I want that. All right. So I'm going to say, fuck you to the Canadian entertainment industry and go small scale and do it myself. And I had to go through the same thing with games journalism as well. I mean, you want to talk about a miserable group of people who treat others like they're absolutely disposable because they themselves feel worthless. Games journalism, right there. It's bad, and as best I can tell, it hasn't gotten any better. It may have gotten worse since I checked out of it. I tried to dip my toe back in recently, and it's just as fucking bad with the ghosting and the lack of clear communication, and there's still a lot of shitty publicists working in gaming, and then the media side just, it hasn't gotten any better. And it's not gonna get any better until somebody with some power and influence and money determines it can be done differently. And I mean, Polygon started that way. The belief that they could create a viable business model on interesting long form journalism like, they do in some US magazines, but it didn't work. And the funny thing is people do long form stuff on YouTube and they do okay. It's just, right, maybe wrong time, I don't know. But that's part of the reason that whole Polygon ecosystem is so bitter, because Polygon is the ashes of a failed experiment. And the whole thing does grind you down. I think back to the shit I took. It's like, oh yeah, EA losing my appointment every single year and watching Felicia Day jump the line at the BioWare booth 2 years in a row. And I watched her do it at 3 different booths one year. BioWare, Bethesda, and I forget the other one, but she shows up and oh yeah. And why? Why? Because she was one of Joss Whedon's anointed ones? It's bullshit, right? It sends the message that some people matter and some people don't. And is it because of commitment to the industry? No, it's status. And that can make you feel shitty. And that inner sense of self-validation, that inner sense of self-worth is what contextualizes experiences like that. And because so many men are taught in a particular way that is different from the way women invalidate themselves, or taught to invalidate themselves. Because women are taught, you're stupid, you're just not good at it, you're never going to be good at it. Women are taught that abilities are innate, and either you're instantly good at it or you're never going to be good at it. Now, men are taught, you're lazy, you're weak, you're not working hard enough. And a lot of the times that's not true. You should be able to get forward movement with a moderate amount of effort. You should not need to work yourself into illness to make any forward progress. But for 3 generations, because of the cycling recessions and whatnot, Gen X onward, that's basically been the mantra because, economic systems have been unbalanced and it's been wage stagnation and so on and so forth. And is that fair? No, it's not fair. It's a really poorly managed system. But that's not the same. Sorry, there's a dog under my chair scrounging for food. Move it, Loki. Oh, dog. But that's not the same as you having no worth. A system being fucked up is not the same as you having no worth. And I mean, that's why you get those groups of people that support each other and help each other through temporary hard times and strengthen each other. And that is possible. And, you put the work into yourself and you self-validate, you can have that. That's achievable. Like riches and fame, no, there's a lot of luck that goes into that. But having a group of people around you that care about you, yeah, you can have that. But you got to show up present, and you have to be there not spewing misery around people. So how do you self-validate? What is done to you is not who you are, right? It's really important that you take some time and figure out your worth, figure out what you're good at. Hi, Zelda. What you're good at and, what you're not good at, and whether you think you need to get better at the things you're not good at, or whether it's just, no, you have to find people to back up your strengths. Now, the one thing everybody can get better at and should get better at is social skills and communication. And that's why we're going to be offering some stuff regarding that, because that is essential. Becoming a better listener, becoming a better communicator will help you out a lot. But something like, do you have to be a coder to work in games? No. And the number of people I know that spin their wheels for years being mediocre coders when it would be better to sort of buddy up with somebody who's a great coder so you can focus on what you're good at. That's just an example, right? Hi, Zelda. Now, Zelda really knows her worth. This is the Tao of Zelda, okay? I was playing Elden Ring over the weekend, and I was doing it on my exercise bike. And then I stretched my legs, so I'm standing, and I use my bike seat to stretch my legs out after I've been pedaling for, in this case, it was 40 minutes. And Zelda, for the last 2 days, has been screaming at me, and I didn't know why. She wanted me to sit down so she could sit on my lap and get cuddles, the way she's doing right now. And she communicated. She did not stop until she got love. Right, Zelda? Because Zelda knows she's worth it. And that's the thing. If you know you're worth something, you show up not blaming other people, not flinging misery around, not making a bunch of false accusations where you've then weakened your ability to get support because people are like, no, I'm not helping you now. You falsely accused me of a bunch of things. It sounds strange maybe if you're down low that feeling like you're worth it would reduce those communications that you're somehow owed something or other people are failing you. But when you feel like you have value, you can be selectively vulnerable. So when you're not so insecure that you can't say, look, that hurt, or I am feeling shitty right now, can you just ease up on me? Right? That is going to get a completely different result than you did this and you did this and this and this. Blame, 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 blame. You statements, you statements. You get even one of those wrong, especially if you ascribe an intent to someone. And they're going to go, fuck you, and then it's a fight. Whereas if you just go, I'm at low ebb. Please ease up. You're not blaming anybody for anything. You're asking for something. And most people want to be helpful and useful. And that's the difference. You need to have a sense of centeredness to ask for that instead of that false aggression. And that comes from a validated place. And I'm out of time now. If you want more suggestions about how to self-validate and signs that you may not be self-validating or you may need to do more, I can talk about this on Feedback Friday. Leave me a comment. For now, help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K. Or this is a lot of what Leanna Cares does. Buy a one-time Leanna Cares session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. We have 6 people right now, 6 people who need subsidized services, and they only get as much as can come in. So coffee.com/Leanna K. Oh, who am I kidding? I give some free ones away. But thanks for watching. I don't have it up. Shoot. Manly Mondays.